Hey, Music Therapy Laz here. What's happening, everybody? It's Gear and Demo Show tonight. That's right. Check it out. What do we got going on here? We have Pat Johnson, famed, legendary. I've even heard the word genius thrown out, referring to his photography. Blue collar photographer from Cleveland, Ohio. That's right. Home of the Browns, home of the Indians. What are they? What was that movie? That Major League. Yeah, man. If you guys don't know who the Indians are, check out Major League, the movie. It's amazing. And then Johnny Beane, of course, up here in the top right corner there.
Hey, everybody.
Right next to Roxy. Roxy's overlooking his shoulder there, looking for Ned. Hoping Ned doesn't pounce.
Here. Yes.
All right, too much clapping.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's these silly. This guy got me hooked on these things. Check this out.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my. This is one of my favorites here too. I think they even use that on Saturday Night Live. But yeah, it's the Gear and Demo Show, you guys. But we're not going to be showing gear or demos much today. What we're going to do is, I guess, just talk with Pat, because Pat's got stories. He's got a book. As a matter of fact, let's pull this thing out. Check that out. It just came out about a month ago, right?
Yeah, 2 months.
2 months. Yeah. And I just recently posted on my Facebook as well. If you guys are on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, I posted a link to Pat on the local KRON, not I always want to say Crom, like from Conan the Barbarian, but Cron, not Crom. The station, it's radio channel 4, yeah, TV station here, local. Did a really cool interview of Pat talking about his history here in the Bay Area. But you've been all over the place, right? You've been all around.
Yeah, I wasn't a tour photographer. I toured with Journey in the early days before Steve Perry. I did like 2 weeks, and I came back, and I didn't want to do that, you know.
Yeah, you wanted a family life, like I wanted a family life too, and that's why I didn't really want to become a musician like Johnny. Johnny just dove right in, flew off to Florida, hooked up with famed producer Desmond Child.
Is that where you are, Florida?
Yeah. No, he's here.
I'm in Santa Cruz. I'm in Santa Cruz currently, but about 25 years ago, I worked at Desmond Child, songwriter for, like, Bon Jovi, Aerosmith, Cher, all that stuff.
Ricky Martin. I was just watching my sweetie sweat it out to Ricky Martin. And the Vida Loca song, she does her exercises. Yeah, she does her exercises, listening to her Latin music, and she I don't know where she comes up with these moves, but man.
We went years and years ago. The Gavin convention was like, Gavin magazine was like Billboard and Cashbox, and they had a convention every year. And one year it was in Miami, so we went to the #1 hot spot in South Beach.
Oh, okay.
And the guy we went with, Ron Alexenberg, he signed the Jacksons to Epic. He's a major player. Oh. We get in there. Wow. Of course, they don't let anyone in because unless they're dressed right. We weren't, but we walked in like that because it was owned by some New Jersey mob guy. And they made people leave, and we got a table in the middle, and the table next was Ricky Martin.
Oh, there you go. Wow, Ricky Martin.
Your guy, cool. Right?
That's cool. I used to let him into the house, actually, because he'd be coming over to write with Desmond, which became that song "Livin' La Vida Loca." That's when I was there.
That's probably because it's probably your fault, Johnny, that they did that song, because you were like,
let him in.
You let him in.
If I didn't let him in through the door, they probably wouldn't have done that song. Yeah.
Living La Vida Loca at Johnny's place. Anyway, you probably have stories you haven't told, Johnny. Come on. But tonight
we're saving those for my book.
Yeah, there you go, bro. When are you gonna write your book? I mean, geez. Anyway, but yeah, we'll look forward to that. But Pat Johnson's got this amazing book, and it's filled, there's the man right there. So you know it's really him. That's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a picture of David Bowie. That
Yeah.
the story about that is amazing. You want to tell that story?
I shot David like 3 different times, but that particular one was he was with Tin Machine, which was they weren't very good. But
I had that album.
Yeah, it was terrible. You know, it was the Soupy Sales' 2
There
sons
was 2 of
in
them,
it.
I think.
And
I
There's
had
2,
those.
yeah.
and we're shooting all day doing stuff, and at the end of in the evening we went to dinner somewhere, and it was like a radio dinner where all these radio programmers, there are no such things anymore, and there was nowhere for me to sit to eat. So I turned to the record company guy and go, Sky, his name was Sky, I go, where am I supposed to sit? And he goes, shit. Looks around, the only seat available was next to Bowie. It was on a little dais, like at a wedding, you know, when they're all facing this way, and the radio guys are there. So I'm sitting next to David friggin' Bowie and Ziggy fucking Stardust, you know.
Yeah, right.
What the hell do you say to David Bowie, you know? And I turn to him and go, hey man, I'm from Cleveland. That's all it took. You know, Cleveland broke Bowie. The Ziggy Stardust album and tour was flopping, and one disc jockey, literally Billy Bass on WMMS, started pounding it, and all of a sudden it started getting played all across the country. The tours started selling out, and he came back and did another sold-out show in Cleveland. It literally broke him. So he just sat there for an hour talking to me about how hard the record business was. Nicest guy in the friggin' world. You know, I like David Bowie a lot, you know.
You know, I've always thought he's got one of the most what's the best way to put it? He never pulled a punch, but he always knew how to put it to people that maybe, you know, said something that was off-putting or whatever. And he would always do it in such an intelligent way. Obviously a very well-read person and intelligent, highly intelligent person. I mean, he knew what was going to happen with music and the internet. He was talking about it in the late 90s, like, you know, this, that's going to happen. And exactly what he was saying was going to happen happened. And I've always idolized him. I remember the first time I saw him, I don't know if you remember this, Pat or Johnny. I don't know. Did you ever watch old SNL stuff from the 70s?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember seeing like when he was on, he came out of like there was Ziggy Stardust, Spiders from Mars kind of stuff was what was all over the stage. It was like this weird kind of like thing. Just like you would think, like Rocky Horror Picture Show looking kind of stuff, you know. And he's like inside of a coffin, and his hair is all red, and he's all make-upped out and stuff. And he's singing the song. I don't remember what he was singing. And it was just so different than anything you saw. I mean, the moment I saw that, I'm like, man, I'm hooked to whatever this guy's doing, because this is like so cool. It's just so different. At first, it's a little shocking, but then you get it. It's like a story. He's telling a story about some alien thing or whatever. And it was just so amazing. And I've tried to find a clip of that. I can't find it. I don't even know what episode it was, but I've looked for that just so I could see it again. You know?
Band like that never made it here, and it stayed to Slade. You ever get into them?
Slade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of them. Yeah. I mean, I listened to so much music from the 70s on, because I was a child in the 70s, right? I was born in 66. So my first like musical live experience was Beatlemania, which I'm sure you'll appreciate because you were a big fan of the Beatles as well, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I was 13 years old. You watched him on Ed Sullivan, blew your mind.
Yeah, man. Right? Life, you know? Oh my God. And I remember hearing
like the Beatles now, you know.
What's that?
Even Donald Trump has Beatle hair, and in those days you got laughed at. You know?
Yeah, I call him Cotton Candy Head.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like to me. It looks like cotton candy, you know? like some kind of a weird flavor. I don't know what. It's you know, maybe watermelon or something. I don't know. Golden watermelon. But yeah, Slade, man. Mama, we're all crazy now. That was a great song. You know, we should say hi to the people in the chat real quick, if you don't mind. We'll do that real quick, because these are why we're here, is to talk to all these people. We got Donald Young first and saying, "Hey Laz, how's it going?" Then Tim Thomas coming in with a "Hey now," saying hey to his buddy, and then of course I pop in and say hey to them. And we got Mike Olson saying hi to everybody. And we got Zach Dong coming in saying hey to me and whoever else is there. Everybody there, he's saying hi to. Janice Lala. As a matter of fact, Janice Lala did our the woman on the spot at EVHCon. Have you ever heard of EVHCon?
No.
Yeah, it's in the East Coast in Connecticut. And she went to that because she's like 5 minutes away from there. And she was wearing Johnny Bean's shirt representing Johnny Bean's show. Because Johnny Bean, like I was saying, he's like the godfather of YouTube channel. He's probably invented more people that have started channels than anyone else I know.
Well done, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I've been doing this a while. Yeah.
The quiet chant, Michael B. is Laz. You cracked me up, Michael. Michael and I have been talking about doing a show too, so hopefully we can get that off the runway. You know what I mean? And yeah, William De Silva, blast off. They must have been counting down at the countdown. They know it always explodes in the end, like the one of the. I'm not going to talk about it.
Well, my dog Rocco here is watching everything.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I wish I could have a dog. Where we are, we can't have a bigger animal, and so that's why we have the little bird. Which is actually cool. Dan of New Jersey saying hey to all three of us. Right on, dude.
Jersey. Cleveland's like the city out in New Jersey.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like New Jersey in a city.
Yeah,
I think we said hi to Tim Thomas. I think we said hi to you already. Let's see. Anyone new?
What's up,
we got G. Bushnoff saying hey to us.
Symmetry. There's Janice.
Okay.
Janice.
We got to scroll down some more. Yeah. Keep scrolling, Laz. Here we go. We got, Pooh Ninja, my favorite Pooh. The ninja kind. Pooh Ninja. Symmetry, Trev, what's up? Matt Stewart, of course.
Hey, Matt.
And we got Robot Master Switch. Always ready to hit that red button. Don't touch the red button. And that's it. That's everyone. All right. So here we are. Yeah. So we said hello to everyone. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming. But yeah, the stories about about David Bowie, I'd like to hear more, because I remember you talking about 3 people that you met that you found really, really nice and very inspiring. And those are, some of the top musicians in the world, 2 of whom I've always idolized. So David Bowie and, of course, Sting. Michael Jackson, I always appreciated for his music and just everything, his just vision of what he created musically and with dance and everything, as a child prodigy and everything he had to go through with his father and the family there, having to find a way to break away from the family. I mean, there's so much story there, right? But yeah, tell us more about Bowie and then.
Okay, well, I shot Bowie again in 2003, and I brought 2 pictures to give to him. One was the shot, not the cover of the book, because I just discovered this photo like 4 years ago.
Such a great picture.
Buried in my archives. I forgot I even had it. But from the same shoot, the shot that's more famous it's in the book. It's a gold and it's a split image where I did in the dark rooms in Photoshop. And I brought that print, and I brought a super close-up portrait I did like this of Marcel Marceau without his makeup. And so
wow.
I had heard how true this was. I don't know, but yeah, that's the shot.
That's famous.
And that was done in the darkroom. That's not Photoshop. And so I gave him that, and I gave him the portrait of Marcel Marceau, and he goes, "Whoa!" And he looked and called his dad and goes, "Put these away for me." In other words, he cared about him, as opposed to some schmuck giving him another live photo. They go, yeah, there's me and Bowie, and that's the same day. And so 2003. Then I asked him, I said, "Hey, I'm going to do a book someday. Would you be interested in doing my forward?" And he looks at me like, "Who are you?" And he we had sat for an hour like 13 years earlier, and maybe he remembered me, maybe he didn't. But anyhow, he might have, because of the photos. And he looks at me like, what? Quizzically. Then he looks at these 2 pictures, and he looks up at me, looks at the pictures, and goes, "You know what? I might consider that." No phone number. I put it in my drawer on my desk, sat there. He died. Book's out.
Yeah, man. That night, that day and that whole afternoon, that night, I was just posting one song and video and some comment after another. That night hit me hard because I knew he wasn't well, but you know, just like with Eddie Van Halen, we knew he wasn't well, but you know, we weren't expecting that. When things kind of got quiet around that camp, as they call it, right, Johnny? People kind of probably had a feeling something was going on, and then that news came out. Oh my God,
yeah,
worst news ever. But you know, I remember seeing Bowie one time. I think it was either in the early 2000s or late 90s at like a bridge school benefit show or something like that at Shoreline down here in Mountain View, right? And and his hair was kind of reddish and short, you know, and he just did like an acoustic song or two, and it was really, really cool. That was when a lot of the older kind of rock music was being drowned out by the EDM stuff. You know, even the cool grunge music wasn't cool anymore. It was like not even that was cool anymore.
I hate to be an idiot, but what's EDM mean?
It's electronic dance music, and thank God you don't know what it means.
I didn't know. I'd heard about it, but yeah,
electronic dance music. Yeah, Johnny.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, EDM, I guess.
Yeah,
you know.
and
EDM and DMT, they go together, and people have a good time, I guess.
LSD.
Exactly. You know what? We used to write on our yearbook. We'd always put P spot microdot. Johnny has no idea what that means.
My first photo on an album, I didn't get photo credit, was on Ian Hunter, All American Alien Boy. And if you guys like Mott the Hoople, I certainly do. And he also wrote and did Cleveland Rocks. You know, Cleveland Rocks.
Oh yeah.
That was his song. You know, so
right on,
first photo was they took Ainsley Dunbar, the drummer, and it's a live shot, and they put him on it. And you know, I got no photo credit, but that's okay.
But that's yours. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
When you see something like that, you run around all excited, you know.
Right? Yeah. Well, it's amazing. Like one of the things I was really taken back by meeting you two in your home. He invited me in his house. I mean, that was just so cool. And as you can see in the background there, he's got some nice guitars, including right above his right shoulder, that modern Zach Wild designed guitar, right?
Yeah, Modern of Doom.
The Modern of Doom. Yeah. And it's quite the guitar up close and never played, from what I understand, right? Never touched by a guitar. Never played it. It's serial number what?
000.
It's the prototype. It's the 000.
I was entertainment relations for Gibson, so it's ER 000, and there's only 40 of them made.
Wow, 40! I thought it was 100, but 40. Man,
no, you're right. I thought it was 40. You could be right.
These guys are talking about disco. Wow, shame on you. I can do the hustle.
There was only 40 made.
Oh my God! So you guys are cracking me up in the chat. Are you able to see the chat, Pat? Can you see the chat, people? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Johnny, go ahead.
Cool. So
you want more stories?
Yes.
Yeah, well, let's go back to the beginning. How did you start? How did you get into photography?
Well, I was a kid in Cleveland in high school. I took in photography, and I took it because I went to the St. Ignatius, the Jesuit school. They recruited me to play football, and then I got expelled in my sophomore year for being a fuck up. And so I went to the public school, and the public school was locked down. You couldn't go out. You know, the doors were locked. And photography had, there you go.
I'll show pictures as you talk so people get a flavor for your talent.
That's Varney right there, Mike Varney, shrapnel stuff. And
I know Mike.
You could go out and have a cigarette. So I took photography to go out and have a cigarette, and it clicked with me. And so I kept doing it, you know, off and on. I went to Cooper School of Art for a minute, went to Ohio University for a minute, and came out here. And in 1973, I was working at a photo lab, and Doug Roach, who's passed away at least 30 years ago, he was a bass player for Santana. There's still a Doug Roach page on Facebook. People still write about him every day. But he and I became friends in this lab, and he invited me to be his guest on New Year's Eve, 1973, Winterland. It was Santana. I'm like jacked. I'm a kid from Cleveland. I've only 2 years, and wow, I borrow some lenses from my boss and go there, not even believing my name's going to be on the list. Of course, it was. And I go in, and the opening act was a band called Journey. It was their first show. They didn't even have Prairie Prince from the Tubes was playing drums as a fill-in. And as an aside, I just took like 2 or 3 pictures, and one of them was a shot of Neil Sean, the guitar player, with his Gibson Les Paul. Doug Roach sees the picture 2 weeks later after looking at all his pictures of him in Santana. He drags me over to Herbie Herbert, Journey's manager's office, to show him this one picture. Herbie loves it, calls Neil Sean down. He loves it. They buy a bunch of prints from me. And Herbie goes, hey, our first official show is in February, which is, a month away. You want to shoot it for us? And I go, yeah, that's a cute story that I'll follow up with, that shot there. And so I go shoot the show at the Great American Music Hall, the first official Journey show, show him the pictures. Herbie turns to me literally and goes, hey, you want to be our photographer? It's like, oh, what?
Wow.
And then like a week, 2 weeks later, he goes, hey, we need new band photos. I need band photos. You want to do our band photos? And that's the shot that got me started. And he goes, you want to do our band photo? And I go, yeah. I didn't know nothing about studio photography, nothing. I went to the store, bought a big 9-foot white backdrop, bought some lights. In my house, the Journey came over to my house, and I took that picture. You just showed the band photo, the first Journey shot. And that was my first studio photo shot of any kind, and it was Journey. Most people, photographers, shoot 30 years, and they can't even get close to something like that. And my first one, I know what I was doing. But Herbie Herbert, to this day, he passed away last year. He found something in me that I didn't even know I had, and I'm forever indebted to Herbie Herbert. I love him with all my heart. I'm sitting here because talking to you guys, and I guess ego tripping. That's not who I am, but because of Herbie Herbert, So
that's incredible.
That's how I started. And then, of course, they were on Columbia Records, so I started working for Columbia, doing stuff for the record company. And then their was Epic Records. They're on the same thing. And the Epic guy was Joel Newman from Cleveland. Best friend. All of a sudden, I started working for Epic, meeting the radio stations, started working for the radio stations, meeting more record company guys. And, one of my friends growing up was they opened Vidal Sassoon's in San Francisco right at that time, and he was the artistic director. So I had 2 clients, Journey and Vidal Sassoon's. Neither of them would pay my bills, but those are my first 2 clients. And,
that's a great resume.
Paid for your film, and that was it, right?
Yeah, and it was a springboard.
Right.
That's how I started. I can't believe, and I'm 71, and today, and it's not my birthday, but I'm 71, and I still can't believe I made a living doing that. To this day, I can't believe it.
Right. What luck, right? But it wasn't just luck, because you had some skill and you had an eye. And I think that's one of the things, like in any kind of art form, you have to have an eye and a vision, and you have to see it and know it is what it is, and then go with it, right? And at that young of an age, other people already noticed you had an eye for something, and it wasn't like a one shot, that's it, lucky, bad, good picture. You had that eye. It kept going. You were able to keep that going. And tell the story about how you would get your like subject, if you want to call a person a subject, right? How would you get your subject in the photo to let their guard down and get some of these more amazing different kind of shots? Because I think that story is great.
I think it's a combination of, everyone knows of me from Cleveland. I lived in Cleveland for 20 years and here for 50, but I'm still Cleveland. And being Cleveland at that time was a rough and tumble town. You didn't fuck around. Anyone that we were no hippies. If a guy gave me a peace sign, or my friends, we went, we get shot, hit the fucking road. We had nothing to do with these guys. We were not hippies. We had the sensibilities, but we smoked weed and went to the bars to get laid and party and listen to Led Zeppelin and listen to the Stones, and, and Humble Pie. And so we were never any hippies, but so that's a certain part of my personality. And then the other part is the San Francisco guy. And so people would come into my studio, and part of my father has it, my daughter has it, my brother has it, my son has it. There's a certain thing that we have that we can spot them a mile away, if you know what I mean by that. So when people would come into me, to my studio, I'd look at them, talk to them for a minute, and I'd start picking up their energy, their vibe, who they were, what they like, what they're into, just and by the time I got them into the studio, I never did this in theory, but just picture saying to Steve Perry, "What's that on your shirt?" He looks down, I tweak him in the nose. I never did that. But it was that kind of mentality, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I'd have a band in there with 5 guys, and I'd have one guy kneel down and say, "Go kneel down, kneel down. Turn around, turn around, turn around." Now the guy's kneeling down facing the other guys, and I go, "What are you doing for dinner later?" You know. Immediately everyone breaks up. They forget they're getting their photos taken. Those kind of little stupid things, you know. Again,
that's so great.
Barely killed me. But I had one band out of Sacramento. They were a metal band, probably 1984, and I'd always find something. I'd find one guy and I'd tease him a little bit. There was one guy with a big chin. I kept calling him Popeye. You know, "Hey Popeye, move over." And he wasn't. The band was. The other guys were roaring. He wasn't really digging it, but he went along. Then the band started calling him Popeye.
Oh no, that became his nickname. Huh?
They pay me. They leave, and out in the front of my studio on South Park, they get in a fist fight over Popeye and break up.
Oh my God, it's all your fault. Well, you know what? They probably weren't meant to be, because if they could stick it out from that, I mean, then they weren't going to make it.
Yeah.
Right? What a story, man. I mean, tell the story about this photo, because this is also off that topic, but about like how you can find by accident almost, but then still throw it together and create the most amazing photo.
Oh, Elton John. I still call it the midgets, but everyone goes, "Oh, it's Elton John and little people." So the Doobie Brothers were my client, and they had hired Elton John. They had hired these midgets, little people, to come run around on the stage during their encore. And Elton John was a friend of Skunkback or something, so he was going to do the encore. Yeah. So Elton John's walking this way, and the little guys are walking this way. And they go, "Oh, hey, let me get together," and they all get together and make the funny faces. They take the shot. Man, it's a classic. It's one of my classics.
It's a great shot, and I have to say, I know how Elton John feels there, because when I went to Cusco, and when we went to Machu Picchu, we went to Cusco. I was on the town square, and I'm only 5'10", but I felt like my brother, who's 6'4", for once in my life, where everybody was shorter than me, and that's kind of like what Elton John probably felt like there that day.
No, I tell you, I sent that to Elton John's people at the time, and they sent me back with a really nice rejection notice.
Yeah, right.
Because that's the only time I ever sent a picture like that. The only rejection, and if you really think about it, if you look at it, Elton John always wore these big high shoes. So he's got these giant high shoes on, and he's hardly any bigger than those.
And he's still not that taller.
I looked at it and said, "Holy shit, I look like a midget." Anyhow.
Yeah. Well, there. If you guys haven't yet checked out this book on that link over there, holy moly, that was loud. If you guys haven't, exactly, if you haven't checked out this book yet, you guys, you got to sell out all these books, people. Buy this book. There are so many great photos in here. Like, look at this one of Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Look how young they are, man. And look at how he captured them. Like, the lighting and the moment and everything's just so Rolling Stones. I mean, the stories you must have from
That's
being
a
on
great
these
story,
stages.
by the way. I was hired by the San Jose Mercury News. By the way, every shot in that book, every shot is an assignment. I didn't go hang out and shoot so I could get a picture of somebody. I didn't give a fuck, I mean, if it was like Spooky Tooth or Humble Pie, I might have considered it. But I was hired by
Tooth.
Yeah, remember them?
No, that's new to me. It must be early 70s, late 60s, something, because I've
British
never heard of it.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Spooky Tooth, you know. Anyhow, they
I gotta look that up.
other phenomenal, one of my favorite bands, Spooky Tooth. The second album, Spooky Tooth. And anyhow, I was hired by the Saturday Mercury News. They were doing on the Sunday supplement. They were going to do a fold out in their Sunday supplement. And the first one they wanted was the Stones. So they hired me. There was no photo passes then. You didn't have to call and go through conniptions. So I went there and brought a biker friend of mine, a guy, Harley kind of guy. And he and I go, and this was the days when people would sleep outside for 3 days to get up front to see the Stones.
I've done that.
Right. And, and so I just get, excuse me. And I squirrel my way up front, excuse me. And the people are going, I don't want to I don't want to ruin their vibe. These idiots slept outside for 3 nights to get up close, and I'm just going to push my way up. So I get as close as I possibly can, and they're not letting me go any further. And people are bad vibing me. I turned to each one and I said, "Here's my card." Handed each one of them my cards and give me 10 minutes. I'll be out of here. If you call me, I'll send you a print. Okay. The biker squats down. I get up on his shoulders, kind of like the chick. I get up on
that's amazing.
Yeah, shoot 2 rolls of film. Got down, said thank you, and left.
Wow.
Those are from
that's amazing. So you have to be up on biker's shoulders to get this shot of Mick and Keith, but that's a dedication. I mean, you made it happen because you knew what you had to do to get there, to get that shot. You made it happen.
And that isn't the shot they used is the Mick Jagger one that's in the front of the book.
Okay, yeah, let me find that one.
There's a shot of Queen in there, 1976 in Berkeley. And you guys might remember YNT Yesterday and Today.
Dude, Dave Meniketti's one of my favorite. One of my buddies actually was a roadie for him.
Well, how?
But anyway.
So one day Herbie Herbert, Journey's manager, his partner Lou Bramey, and myself get in the car, smoke a bunch of hashish, and drive down to some high school in Hayward to see some band called Yesterday and Today. True story. And we go down there and we see these kids play. I take a few shots, and like 3 weeks later, Herbie signed them. That's how they got started.
Wow.
But anyhow,
those love YNT.
Yeah, so they were opening for Queen in 1976 in Berkeley, and so I was hired by Herbie to shoot YNT. And again, there was no passes or anything, and I could have stood there and shot 10 rolls of film of Queen. I literally, I'm not exaggerating, took 3 pictures. Go, these guys suck, and left. I don't know.
I wanted you to tell that story, but I wasn't going to ask you to tell it because
I still think they suck.
I love Queen. I've always loved Brian May's tone and his playing and how he came over with his
tone, but they were just too like. I'm from Cleveland, man. We grew up. My MC5, Stooges, Cactus,
the Stooges,
the James Gang. That's what we grew up there. That raunchy, British blues. That's what and Queen was just too pretty for me. The Eagles. I know they're great. Joe Walsh is.
I love Joe Walsh.
My favorite guitar players. The Eagles bore me to goddamn death. Too pretty.
Me too.
No,
agree.
No new kid in town for you, huh? No life in the fast lane.
Maybe I shouldn't say that, but Hey,
it's okay to have different tastes. I get what you're saying about Cleveland.
And I grew to not, I didn't. When the Steve Perry era hit, I didn't like it.
This is that. I was going to ask you about this because we talked about this. I lived in Cleveland for a little while, like about a year and a half, and then I moved to Cincy, where they make that really disgusting food at those 3 ways, 4 ways, 5 ways places. You know what I mean?
No,
but
I've never been to Cincinnati.
Don't get talked into having the weird spaghetti chili dish. It's not that great. But Joe Walsh did make the Eagles. G. Bushnoff. You were absolutely right about that. Though Don Henley does have a voice and they have a certain style. I always appreciated them, but I like all different kinds of music. But what I was going to say about Cleveland, it's a tough town.
If I'm in a record store, I'm not going to buy the Eagles. I'm going to buy the MC5. You know, when I was young, you're probably too old, but there was a band called The Association.
I remember The Association, of course.
Cherish is the word. That song came on the radio. You dove as fast as you could to hit the button to get it off, you know?
Yeah. Johnny, I don't know if you know, but Pat's worked with people like Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you have a great story about the call sign thing with the finger stuff and the whole thing. Yeah.
I love that shot because I believe that's his sign for you know, I forget he was a Crip or a Blood. I forget which one he was, but when I was done shooting that picture, you know, he goes, "Hey man, you got to get a shot," because I'm working like a dog. So I jump in and I do this. You can see my hand. It's a P, right? See it? P. Peeing. And I go like this. And he does, and everyone, they're doing the west side though, the west side thing, you know?
Yeah.
So he's doing the west side. I'm doing this. And he goes, "What's that? That's P."
Here, hold on. Show it one more time. Bring it into the shot. There you go. It's a PP.
Yeah. And you know, and
it's a big one.
And so 6 months later, there's a Beavis and Butthead Marana time, and he's the co-host. And the whole week's commercial, they're going, "Hey, you know," and he's over here going, "Hey, man." And at the end of the commercial, he does this.
Oh, that's
my mind. And I was the coach of my son's little league team at the time, and this was our suicide squeeze. So, you know, I was a god to the little league team. You know?
G. Bushnoff says it's the P side.
Yeah.
And he also says that he believes he was a Crip.
Well, there's a photo in the book in that section where it's LL Cool J's pointing.
Yeah.
And,
is that this? Is that?
Yeah. No, that's.
I thought you said smoking.
Yeah, LL Cool J. I don't know where it is, but
I'll find it. I think I found it. Yeah, right here. This is that the one where that thing happened?
Yeah, it's one of the staggering events of my life.
Yeah, tell that story. This is an amazing story.
So it's in Irvine Amphitheater. It's a hip hop show, Summer Jam, and the security was the regular security and the Nation of Islam. You know, the guys with the black bow ties. You don't mess with
short hair, white collar.
Yeah, they're Islam. You know, Farrakhan and
the little hats.
Yeah, and out in the crowd the whole time. Well, 80 to 120 of the Grape Street Crips, all in purple, like your shirt, like your thing behind you, Johnny. All in purple, come gang rush through the gates, so they couldn't do the checks for metal or guns or knives, and they're just sitting anywhere they want. And everyone knew there was going to be trouble with these guys. Everyone was watching them. And at one point, you know, somebody gets up, maybe Snoop Dogg singing, waving his blue or red flag hanky, and another guy gets up singing, waving his red or blue hanky. And out in the back, you start seeing fights break out between the Crips and Bloods, and it gets really nasty. Full bottles of water come flying past our head. I'm on the side of the stage taking the shot. Billy, my assistant's in the pit shooting up. My 15-year-old son is about 10 feet behind me shooting. And the Islam guys go out and start getting fights. And you see the Islam guys going down. It was like nasty. And everyone, if you can imagine Shoreline Amphitheater, everyone in the front rushes the stage and starts climbing the stage. I reach over and grab Billy and yank him out of the pit. We run for our freaking lives. I lose my son for like 15 minutes. I'm panicking. And it was a bloodbath. There's a video that if people care, it's really worth watching if you want to see something that'll blow your mind. There's a video, you know, on YouTube, Johnny, and it's you know, Grape Street Crips Summer Jam is, you know, and it's like 4 minutes long, and it's all out in the middle, and then you know, and you can, you know, they have music, but and the fights are breaking out, and the guys are yelling and screaming at each other, and as everyone rushes the stage, there's one guy, he must be a Blood. They've got him, and the security's trying to pull him up onto the stage, and the Crips are pulling him back. They pull his.
I'm watching that.
Yeah,
they pulled his clothes off.
They pulled his clothes completely off. And the guys up and start kicking him in the face and stomping him on the head. and we're going, oh Christ,
Oh my!
we're running for our lives. It was serious. And I found my son about 15 minutes later. And the show was canceled. Everyone's out in the backstage area, all the artists and all the promoters and radio people. And we waited for like maybe 3-4 hours with the LA helicopters doing the spotlight like they have going. And it was heavy. It was heavy. Yeah. I was
story.
Swimming with sharks.
Wow. There's the
So
video in the chat.
That was this event.
You guys want to see that?
Yeah, he is literally right there saying, trying to break up the fights.
And he's wearing a red hat. Probably didn't help.
Yeah, probably didn't help. A lot of those stories didn't make the cut of the book. The editors wanted it to be those stories. My editor just didn't put in. I don't regret it. That's okay.
But they let you put this picture in because
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but it's a great photo.
I love it. By the way, that's Busta Rhymes.
Is it?
Flip Mode Squad. It says, oh no, that's the one on the left. Sorry, hold on, let me show that one. That's Unknown with Joint. Shoreline Amphitheater. Oh, this is Busta Rhymes. These guys look like they're on more than just that stuff.
They just finished the set,
Holy
and they were.
heck, man.
I thought that's my favorite photo. I love that.
That's great. I have to say, one of the photos that really caught me, especially in recent year events regarding, issues with race here in the U.S., is this one. And tell me what you're.
Oh
man, if that's not saying something.
Yeah,
I don't know what is.
I forget what year. It says what year that is.
Yeah, it's Ray Love. Studio in San Francisco in 2009. I mean, if that's a picture that says 1,000 words, I don't know what is, man.
Yeah, he's a Bay Area rapper, and I did a bunch of things with him, and he came in and we came up with that idea, and it's just wow. Yeah.
Wow, that's a stunning photo, And then you have these, which are really, kind of nothing super special, but cool. But that one.
Well, the thing about that is, he was nobody. He was just.
That time, okay.
Yeah, he was just one of the guys, and not even the main guys in Digital Underground, but there was something about him. I said,
yeah, right.
And I said, let me get a couple shots. So I just got a nice portrait. And then I have a shot I like better. He's giving me the finger, but the editor wanted to go with that one. So you have to, kind of. You got to let the pros.
And then check this one out. You guys know who that is, right?
Yeah, that's not even my best shot. I have a better shot with him giving me the finger with both fingers like this.
But I like the look on his face. I mean, the look on his face is kind of like, it says so many different things.
I think that must be why the editor chose that one.
Yeah, it's like he's young, he's raw. It's like he's looking out, but he's also checking.
He was.
He's ready to, punch someone too. I mean, there's so many things in that photo. And
he wasn't a big star yet. He was just starting. He was
99, Eminem, man. Yeah, 99.
Yeah, and then a year later he played here, and I brought my son, who was like 99, he was probably 13. And he was really nice to him, hung out with my kid, and signed his autograph. Don't listen to me, listen to Green Day or something like that. I liked him. You know
what? I mean, another thing that strikes me about that pose is the way he has his arms. He's not crossing his arms like most people. Yeah. He's got one under the other, almost like he's hugging himself. I mean, there's something about that photo, and this is what I've been struck by a lot of your shots, Pat. Is there's something about them, there's like that there's something about that shot that's just
thank you, that's kind of you to say.
It just gets you, now if this doesn't get you during like the Halloween season, I don't know what does. This one's one of my favorites.
Great
man. It's one of her favorites too, right?
Yeah, I was in my studio and I put a backlight on her hair. And then I had one of my assistants lay on the floor, and you had to use a cigar
to get that thick smoke. Right, I heard that.
You lay there, and you couldn't blow it; it had to just roll out of your mouth, and you just roll out, and then you shoot a bunch, and then you have to clean it up, wait for the air to stop, and then do it again. That's one of my favorites. That's one of my favorites. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Worth 1,000 words, you know? And she was something else. I mean, she was a firebrand, if you want to call her that, from the 60s on. You know, her and Janis Joplin were really. And who was that chick out of France that was like really, or Germany, the one who was like really influenced a lot of punk rock people, like, you know,
Nico?
I can't remember what her name was, but
Velvet Underground and Nico?
maybe. No, I'm thinking about a different woman. But anyway, she might have been later. Might have been more like late 70s, early 80s punk scene kind of thing. Yeah, but Grace Slick, man. Phew.
One of the things that I'm most proud of is Grace called me because I asked if she would give me a quote, and I'm driving somewhere in South San Francisco at 9 o'clock in the morning, and my phone rings, and I go, "Hey, this is Grace." I go, "Oh, Grace!" You know, we start chatting, and I go, "Well, hey, Grace, you mind giving me a quote for my book?" She goes, "What the hell you think we're doing?"
Yeah, that's funny.
You know, just to pull something out of what we're saying. You know, I pull over and we chat for a while on a pen or paper, and I hang up after 20 minutes and go, ah! So I had to rip through my car, find like a broken crayon, and I use the pages from my the thing in your car to fix your maintenance book. I had to write on that. But Grace Slick gave me a quote you know.
Yeah, should I read it? I think it's on the back, isn't it?
Quote.
Yeah, she wrote, "Pat knows how to get past the pose, to get the real person in the shot. The smoke shot is one of my favorites of me."
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And Sammy Hagar, Pat's a badass in a lens, you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's great. I love the quote.
I love Sammy. I'm a huge
we all
Hagar
love
fan.
Sammy. Yeah. Pat's a badass beyond the lens. Every time I see a shot from Pat, I think, wow, who took this picture?
Yeah.
Sammy's awesome. Let me find Sammy in here, because you shot more of him when he was a solo act right after Montrose, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't shoot Montrose.
Right after, right?
Yeah.
I don't think this is chronological.
No, it's not. No, they just put it together. Put it together.
Yeah. But I'll find it. But one of my favorite shots, we were talking a second ago about punk rock, and what I loved about the punk, you know, era. I was always into the punk rock. Okay, here's Sammy. This is a good shot of Sammy.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool shot. That was at the B.R. Cohn charity concert. Look who was banned.
Look who's playing. Look who's playing with him.
Joe Satriani and the Doobie Brothers.
Damn, what a lineup!
Yeah.
Can you imagine
awesome.
being at that show?
Sammy is what you think he is.
Yeah, he's a rocker.
You know, he's like a happy-go-lucky, you know, hey man, yeah, you know, just
he's like one of my friends in high school that we all partied with, you know, and it's like when you meet somebody like that, he'd be exactly like that. It's just that's exactly what you hope for, you know.
You go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where is it? It's this one right here. I like this one.
Oh, me and Ringo. That's another precious one for me.
Love
Getting my
that.
photo taken of a Beatle, but my son took it. Getting my picture taken with a Beatle by my son.
By your son. Yeah. So amazing.
Ringo
so many good Taj Mahal here. There's so many great pictures. I mean, this is oh god. Okay, all right, I got to go back to the punk rock story though, because I loved punk rock when I first, you know, got influenced by it, if you want to call it that. One of the bands that really influenced me was this band, and I have a big pink book of theirs with black lettering on it, and look at the look on his face there, man.
He's basically telling me to go fuck myself.
Right, but look at that scowl. I mean, that's so punk rock. I mean, that almost looks like from that movie They Live. Remember that movie where it was those aliens with Roddy Piper, and they were all disguised as humans.
And you had to wear the shades to see them.
Yeah. I mean, but look at he's got that scowl. I mean, he looks like he's ready to go.
The sneer. I'm hired by the record company.
Love that photo.
Promoting their record. And, right. You know, he's surrounded by all these people, and I go, hey, Joe! You know, and he looks at me. You know,
Such a great shot, man. What an amazing shot. But there's just so many good. There's there's a book full of amazing photos here. Yeah, man. Just so many amazing shots.
Where can people get that book?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something scrolling down below.
Yeah, you can get it on my website, patjohnson.com, or you can get it on Amazon. It's Pat Johnson, Blue Collar Photographer. And the title Blue Collar is two reasons. I'm from the west side of Cleveland. The east side was the Shaker Heights, the rich people, the art museums, and the symphony.
The east side.
The east side. The west side.
Yeah, I know. The east side.
The west side was Polacks and the factories and steel mills and Ford plants and tool and die shops. And I was from over there. And when you're growing up, you had choices of going to college or getting a job at the Ford plant. And I didn't want to do either of them. Mm-hmm. And then I came here, and the way Joel Selvin, who wrote the foreword, came up with the title, because I'm a blue collar photographer. I wasn't rich. Title. I didn't come from a lot of money, and I had to work. I had to work, and to survive. And I didn't make $20,000 shoots. There were like $500, $700, $350. If you called me and said, "Hey Pat, I got a band. How much do you charge?" I'd say, I'd get, I go, what, and you go, oh, and I go, wait. How much can you afford? And you'd say, I can do $350. I go, all right, I'll do it. I always had a soft spot in my heart for the up and coming bands, because I was an up and coming photographer. And I mean, I shot bands for free because they didn't have money. I shot a woman who was an art, and she traded me a puppet she made for me. I traded for pinball machine. I just wanted to help.
Is it that puppet right over there? That puppet right there?
Puppet.
There's a puppet. There's a little puppet
behind you on your amp.
On top of your Princeton.
Oh no, that's a sculpture of a photographer.
I know that you did some sculpting too. I remember.
Yeah, and
sculpting you did.
I always wanted to help, and if you didn't have the money, I would work something out with you. I always did,
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm still working the blue collar job, trying to live the dream here. It's what you got to do. I mean, as a matter of fact, if you guys don't know how Pat and I met, if you don't mind me telling them all,
no, I don't care.
Because Pat doesn't care. He's cool. Pat actually shot the photos for my dad's condo's MLS listing to be sold. And it's just like, how can that be like more, if I want to coin a police song, synchronicity, how could that be more synchronous in a sense where me, like a huge fan of music and a wannabe everything music, Johnny Beane, who actually made it at some point and is still working at it, and you having shot so many of the greats, and hung out with them and just got to just be a dude with all the rest of them, hanging out there. And what's cool is your story about how what they liked about you too is that they weren't worried about you doing something inappropriate, like some photographers probably do all the time still to this day, if not any other time, right? They would take advantage.
I developed a trust with these people because they knew I was there for them. I wasn't there for me. I was never there for me. I was there for them. If you hired me, I was there for you. I was never there for you. I mean, I had to be for me in a sense to get the photos and use my skills and knowledge. But once and I coached high school varsity baseball, took this team with 11 players to the state championship. You know why? Because they knew it wasn't about me. It was about the kid. It was about the nobody band that never made it, or Journey or Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were all the same to me, and people understood that.
Yeah.
I never. Granted, if you get the big boys in, you kind of treat them a little better. But if you come into my studio tomorrow, I'm going to treat you like anybody. You're not. You don't get the bums rush, and you're not a dollar sign to me.
Yeah.
I live.
And I think that's awesome because you're able to then kind of like disarm them with that, because you know, a lot of them are so used to being treated like not even human, and that must be weird to be, you know, someone like that, to be in that kind of like status, if you want to call it that or whatever, you know.
Well,
And
yeah.
some of them aren't even, they're people that are artists because they have a talent at something, because of, you know, sometimes them being quirky even, you know, and sometimes they don't like crowds or people or photos and all that, you know. They don't want to be out there, but their talent has kind of pushed them there, and they're there now, you know.
I was shooting backstage at the BR Cone where the Sammy Hagar was, and not that particular show, but one of them over the 30 years. And we're backstage. It's a real intimate little outdoor winery thing. And I'm using a flash, and I'm shooting Bruce Coleman, who's putting it on. And every time the flash goes, Bonnie Raitt's in there. She cringes. And I walk over to her and I go, Bonnie, don't worry. I will never take your picture without asking. She's one of them. She hated it. And her whole body.
Right. There's a good picture of her in here. We can show that. She's amazing. Show. Yeah, Bonnie Raitt is one of the most talented, you know, guitar players. I love, and you play slide, right? So you must love her slide playing. I mean,
yeah.
What influenced you to play slide?
Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones.
John
Wood in the Faces. The Black Crowes.
Yeah.
The Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green. Those are my guys. I mean, I just love them with, you know, and of course all the old blues guys, the originals, you know, Lightning Hopkins and Howlin' Wolf and all that. But you know, you know who I never always bored me a little bit was the Allman, Dwayne Allman.
Oh, really?
But I didn't do anything for him. You were talking earlier about computers. That's Todd Rundgren in whatever year it was.
Right.
The computer. He was way into this computer world. I was sent over by BMI to photograph him because he was one of the only people in the computer world. Look at the computer behind him. It's like a first Apple or something, you know?
Right. That must have been 1980 or something, because I remember in 1980 I took a computer class because I was so like just I was hungry for that. You know, I was like, really wanted to get into computers. Yeah.
Remember, you ever hear the band The Naz, his first band?
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Really great.
Well, here's another really amazing photo, and the story behind this one is fantastic. So
Dennis Wilson.
Yeah, man. There's his brother.
Yeah. Growing up in Cleveland, you know,
both real happy guys.
They don't look too happy. Yeah.
But the story about this is and what happened with that museum.
He was a really happy sort of Southern California surfer, Dennis, and me and Epic Records, all in conjunction, all gotten from Journey, meeting Columbia Records, meeting Epics, and the Epic year. You know, that shot has evolved from that. So we're driving down to San Jose to promote his album in 1978, Pacific Ocean Blue. And he goes, "You guys want to smoke a joint?" And me and Epic guy Joel go, No, thanks. And he's like, just a regular guy, kind of happy. He goes, smokes this joint in the back of the limo and goes, and turns into that. And I look at you and go, "Oh, fuck."
Might have been some of that Maui Wowie stuff or something, right?
That picture was up at an art gallery in Sonoma, and some woman came up and asked him to take it down because it was too disturbing. I love that. They said no.
Oh, no. They said no. Good for them. They said no.
Yeah,
well, this is another really great picture, and we've seen lots of photos of this guy that look like this too, but there's just something special about this one. And maybe because it's black and white, but it's just
Iggy.
So freaking amazing.
He's a god to me.
Yeah, I love. As a matter of fact, when I was in LA this weekend, check out what I bought. I saw this. You know, Johnny, you saw some of the other ones, but I'm starting to collect these. I don't know why, but I'm gonna look for all the Rockstar ones. And look what I got.
Yeah,
it's Iggy.
It's an Iggy Funko Pop. Look at that. With the no shirt on. It's even got his like ribs showing through, you know.
Well, when I was a kid,
I love it.
We went to the Cincinnati Pop Festival. It was in 1971 or 2, And we all did acid, and we went up, squirreled up front to see Traffic. We're up front in Cincinnati Pop Festival, in the middle of this baseball stadium, and they have the diamond all blocked off. So we're like in this weird area, and I'm right up front. And they go, ladies and gentlemen, here you are, the Stooges. Never heard of them. Who the fuck are the Stooges? And all of a sudden they come out.
Stooges?
Yeah. No, this was brand new. It's called 1971. No, they were brand new. And they came out, and they're that droning sound, and Iggy's diving in the crowd. The Ashton brothers got their sunglasses down, giving everyone dirty looks and bad vibes. And we're going, whoa, yeah. And the famous picture of the beginning of Punk, they say, Iggy
it was Punk.
Pointing, you know that photograph? I'm down at his feet. And I have there's outtakes that I have on my desktop, like that's not shot number 4, shot number 1, 2, and 3. I'm right down there going, I was tripping on acid, like right there.
And you got that great shot.
Oh my God. And so
amazing.
We fell in love with him. And then we saw him again at Goose Lake Pop Festival, and he had the crowd going crazy if you were up front. And they cut the power on him. It was 4th of July, and he kept diving into the crowd and yelling, tear down the fence. And that night, he winds up in our campsite, all fucked up, and like 3 a.m. and we're going, hey, there's that guy from Cincinnati. We don't know who the fuck. He's like, hey. So I became an Iggy fan. The first 2 Stooges albums are the best. And then he played San Francisco. Yeah. This was like the second version of the Stooges in like 1974. And nobody was there. There was like 40 people there at Bimbo's. And he gets a blowjob on the side of the stage. Iggy.
That's funny. Well, yeah, I'm not surprised. You know who I saw at Bimbo's? Well, I saw that band from Australia, the Outfield, there too, which was cool. But I saw one of Eddie Van Halen's, one of the guitar players, and I'll just hint that he was a jazz player, and he was from England, and he was one of those players that Eddie Van Halen like aspired to be able to play like, which is like something else, right? And I saw that guy like from a table's length away, and we're talking Alan Holdsworth, man. From a table's length away at Bimbo's. I mean, wow.
Bimbo's a cool place.
Man, I love that place. Yeah. Last time I was there, I actually saw like a smaller band, I think from the British Isles somewhere. I don't want to say which one because then they'll get mad at me for saying the wrong one. They all get mad at each other. But they're called they Promised Us Rockets or something like that was the name of the band.
Oh, they must be Rockets?
They must be Rockets, yeah. Something like that, yeah. We were Promised Rockets or something. There was Love and Rockets, that's a different band. I saw them too in Berkeley once. Yeah. They were great. Yeah. But yeah, man, so many stories. I mean, and then you didn't only take pictures of rock and roll stars. And let me just show this. This is one of my favorite pictures in this entire book, because it's just so striking and so amazing. I mean, I wish I see this in color, but in black and white, it's great. But yes, I want that on a coffee mug. I don't know why. Something weird about my thinking about that, but it's just something so funny and cool and just almost royal, or almost kind of. It's just so human. It's just, I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, look at that photo. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that's Manute Bol. He was a man. I was the Golden State Warriors photographer from 1984 to 2001. I didn't do their games. I did a few just for fun, but I did all the rest of the stuff. And that's Manute Bol. He was 7'7".
Damn.
7'7". One time I'm doing their team photo, and one of the players, Rod Higgins, his eyes roll up, and I had this big backdrop set up. And I'm doing the team photo, and they had been working all day and doing photos and hadn't eaten. And Rod Higgins' eyes roll up in his head, and he falls backwards, and his head hits the floor like a watermelon. Bam! And the backdrop starts going woo woo. You got these $1 million people, and the owners are. And I go and Manute Bol just reaches up and grabs it like this and holds it. And I run up, and Don Nelson's at Rod Higgins' knee. It's a true story. Rod Higgins going, and Don Nelson's kneeling next to him. I run up, And he looks at me and goes, "Your fault." And I go, "Oh!" And he winks at me, Nelson. Fucking Nelly. You know,
Nelly, yeah, I remember that's what they called the coach, Nelly. Yeah.
Nelly.
Now, did they fashion that TV show after him? That TV show, White Shadow. I swear to God, they fashioned that after Nelly.
I don't know. I watched Nelly coach, and he players loved him. They loved him.
Yeah.
You know, and I became a baseball coach, and I became the players loved playing for me because I kind of used his style.
Yeah, man. You know what? That's it's a great way to live too. I think, when you think about, taking yourself out of the scene or the picture and being an observer of it, I think that I don't know. To me, I've always been a people watcher and observer of life, and I see like lots of people living different kinds of lives and so many different ways to become famous or do whatever you want to do. So many different things you could do with your life, right? Some people really go for it. Some people just get lucky. Some people pass opportunities by that they don't even know slip by them. It's happened to me numerous times, But I think that when, as a photographer, just like someone who does, motion pictures or does music too, to capture a moment, to capture a feeling, that's something it's art. It's special. And this book is full of it, you guys. I think we got to definitely have you back on the show again. This is another great photo of
James Brown. Oh my God.
James Brown.
I shot him a couple of times. That was at Nardum. That shot was they re-released live at the Apollo, which is still probably one of the greatest live albums ever made.
Yeah.
You had to call him Mr. Brown. And
Mr. Brown. Yeah, Mr. Brown.
Brown is a sign of respect. Yeah. But it was another shoot, and at Narda Michael Walden's recording studio, and he tells us, the Pope. I met the Pope. The Pope. He sounds just like this. The Pope likes my music, with that gravelly voice. And I get this picture in my mind of the Polish Pope in his underwear, like Tom Cruise, going, "Get up off of that thing." And
get up on it.
There's guys out in the car and gets this photograph in my studio, him shaking hands with the Pope. And I had my Cleveland Indian hat on. And I go, Mr. Brown, I have two people with similar names that I've admired. Well, the great running back Jim Brown from the Cleveland Browns, and you, James Brown. He looks at me and points at my hat and goes, "I love them Atlanta Braves." Braves, B-R-A-V.
Atlanta.
Braves.
It's like you got it completely wrong.
I love the Atlanta Braves. I love James Brown.
James Brown.
He's a god.
Well, here's another photo of a musician that's Bay Area that I really admire. Just because he somehow took the talent that he had and the voice that he had, and he became a star, and he wrote some really great music. But I was actually in a movie with this guy.
Oh, really? Oh, Neil Young, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't in it very long, and I was just an extra, and I was dancing Hungarian folk dance as an extra. It was a really bad movie in the 80s called, or maybe early 90s called 68.
Well, I never heard of it, no.
Yeah, and if it was that bad, it was about a Hungarian immigrant family, and he was the owner of this motorcycle.
That's right, you're Hungarian, that's right.
Yeah. My last name, actually, Lengel, it translates in English, it means Polish. So if you translated my name, Laszlo Lengel, to English, it would be Lancelot Polish.
Laszlo the Polak.
Laszlo the Polak, that's right. That's where my family on my dad's side probably came from.
Well, see, I know I shouldn't say that, but I'm from Cleveland. Sorry, you lose. My late wife was Polish.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Denise was her name, right? Yeah. And I'm sorry to hear about her passing. I think about 5 years ago or so.
10 years ago.
What, 10? Oh my God. Yeah.
She was 60.
Yeah. It sounded to me like she was a really special lady from your stories, talking with some other interviews that I listened to and watched. And there's some other stuff out there, you guys, who want to hear some more stories. But, we'd love to have you back on this show again. And Johnny, if you ever want to have him on your show too. Johnny has a much bigger reach in his show. We've got like 18, 20 some.
I actually messaged you last week, Pat. Check your Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I never look at Instagram.
Yeah. Johnny's everywhere. Johnny's like omnipotent. He's omnipotent.
I still appreciate this,
everywhere.
Johnny. My nephew put together a little team to sell my work as NFTs.
Oh,
yeah, you should.
5 months ago, we did we released because there's not very many photographers out there, and it was a smash hit. I mean, they sold out like instantly. Yeah.
I'd like to talk more about that because I'm trying to figure out that entire thing.
Yeah, it's a strange world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a strange world.
Yeah. Well, I hope you and I are becoming fast friends, Pat, because you live in the area. Johnny's in Santa Cruz. You got guitars. I got guitars.
Where are you, Pat?
San
Mateo. Okay, yeah, I'm in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
But I'm in the East Bay a couple times a week. Walnut Creek, Danville.
Yeah.
He comes through this area, and I try to hook up with him when I'm not working or something. It's been tough lately.
I'm right by 92.
Yeah, you're right nearby where my dad and I actually have one of my cousins my mom's cousins living right nearby you. I mean, they're literally on Norfolk, so they're just blocks away from you. Yeah. So Pat Johnson, once again, wow, what an amazing show. Sorry, I gotta get the applause out.
Well, I got a million stories, and well, true. I don't have to exaggerate or make anything up.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have you back on as soon as you want. Anytime. Let's promote your book more. And Johnny, you should have him on your show soon. And
I sent him a message on Pat. I sent you a message on Instagram.
Send it to him. Send it to him on his email, which is pat@patjohnson.com.
Yeah, I'll look at Instagram. I mean to stay on top of that. Everyone, I have like 1,000.
It's so hard.
But it's just, I never figured out how to put the same photos on Instagram that you put on Facebook, and
yeah, you can't control the sizes easily. Yeah, because Pat, it's like a square. Yeah,
I can help you with that, Pat, because I'm all over Instagram and all that stuff.
Because
Johnny is really a king of that stuff. Yeah,
people tell me that I should be honest. I've got 1,000 followers, and I could probably sell some books on there if not, but I just don't. I'm not savvy,
I have to answer Metalhead Hippie here. By the way, Metalhead Hippie, you're in every one of my descriptions, and I love you, man. And I know it's been 2 years since I've promised you a song. It's been 2 years since I promised my wife that I would actually make some sense of this room, which looks real good behind me here, but the rest is basically like if you ever seen a brick building after an earthquake, that's what the rest of it looks like. Yeah. I need to get this room in order. And actually my buddy, you know him as in the chat, you know him as Octopus Ears. He's going to come over on Saturday and he's going to help me try to, make sense of some of this madness here and make it into a real working studio and room. It's not going to be just one day's worth of work, unfortunately, but we'll knock a chunk out of it. And I'll get you some songs. I did play in Paris at the airport for you though, Jeff. So there was that.
Mm-hmm. Laz, really quickly before we split, get Symmetry's question there.
Oh, let me see. Where is Symmetry's question?
Right below when I posted Pat's website.
All right, let's see. What's your weapon of choice? Canon, Nikon, or other? Oh, good question.
I've been a Nikon guy my whole life. Started with a Nikon F1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then D1, 2, 3. I've got a couple D3s now and a D750. And I use the Hasselblad a lot. I love the Hasselblad, but the Hasselblad when they went digital, a fucking Hasselblad was $40,000.
Holy crap!
Guess what? I don't have one. 40 grand.
I don't have one either.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think I'm ever gonna get a Hasselblad.
None of us have one.
My mother,
unless I win the lotto.
More than that, less than that,
People could buy houses for that in some parts of the United States. Yeah. Especially now. But great show, you guys. Thanks again for coming on. Let's hang out whenever you want. I'll buy you lunch or whatever. It's just fun hanging out with
Thanks
you.
for having me. And if people want to buy my book, they can get it at Amazon or
Amazon too.
At Johnson.com.
And that's David Bowie there, by the way.
Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's self-published, so I'm getting them in bookstores. It's kind of fun. I started going around this week, knocking on bookstores, thinking no one would, and everyone has taken at least one. And
there you go. Hey, man, do the bookstore tour. There you go.
Well, you got to
need a manager.
You got to have a distributor, and I have self-published, so no one will distribute. So, sort of like the record business.
Well, I know somebody in the Cincinnati area who used to write for the New Yorker, who has published, I think, her second or maybe third book by now. It's like a fun detective kind of story thing, and she might know somebody. So I'll ask her if she.
Talk to her. The issue is I've already printed 2,000 of them, and the distributors they want to make the money on the printing.
Right, and this is just the first. Part one of your book series, right?
Yeah, and I have more music. I have more music stuff and more stories. I'm in the process of doing a comedy book with the comedian Will Durst.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, because I did comedy, all the comedians in the 70s and 80s, and
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, okay, there's even more stories, because I was going to get into the sports side of things. You could probably do an entire book on sports.
Well,
easily.
The book I would do on sports would have to be local. It would be like the Niners, the Giants, the Warriors.
You don't think those will sell? Yeah, they'll do well.
Yeah, but I don't have any Dallas Cowboys. I have Cleveland Browns, but no one here gives a shit about them.
Yeah.
Except me.
Well, I think people would pay in the Bay Area, especially. I'm sure you were the photographer for the DeBartolo family during the big run with.
No. I worked with them. And my connection with the DeBartolos was I did a portrait of Eddie, and my mother's cousin in New York and Youngstown was best friends with those guys. So I shot the Niners, but not like that. I wasn't a Niner.
Oh, okay. And what about the San Francisco Giants?
I did a lot of Giants stuff.
There we go.
I worked for them for a few years. I have portraits of Timmy Hardaway and all kinds.
Oh, right on.
Phenomenal shot of Willie.
Timmy Hardaway, wasn't he Warriors? Hardaway?
Timmy Lincecum.
Oh yeah, dude, that's what got me into baseball again. Yeah, I actually
got Willie McCovey when he was still playing in the dugout in uniform, and
awesome.
A lot of cool Giants stuff.
Wow. Yeah, I've been to some of those games. I love them.
A little Niners, Joe Montana.
Yeah. All you need is one good photo of Joe Montana, man, and that'll sell.
Yeah.
The catch and the toss.
If I did it, I'd have to go to the Warriors and say I show them my book and say I need to get a shot of the three guys you got now, because a sports book, if it doesn't have the Warrior guys now, it's not
well. You could do like era specific, and you can do the Nelly era and the whatever,
Well, that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to the Warriors Cavs game tomorrow night.
Oh, awesome! That's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I'm going to wear a mask the whole time. I don't want to get COVID. I'm that guy,
Nobody wants to get that thing at all. Yeah.
I see it, Johnny. Got it.
Right. Yeah. Well, though we should have ended 20 minutes ago, which is fine. I don't care. I can go long.
If anyone has any questions, let me know.
Yeah. Hit the questions. By the way, throw questions at Pat now, and I'll just show you guys two pedals that I'm going to demo, because this is the Gear and Demo show. And there's two pedals I picked up when I was in LA that I'll demo next Thursday, and check them out. The first one is the Mojo Hand Effects DMBL. I wonder what that means, Johnny. Do you know what the DMBL stands for? Just sound it out. There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
Hey, I got
Dumble.
They say this is the crummiest pedal ever made.
Oh.
The Sitar Swami.
Oh, dude, you got to plug that in.
Dude, my friend did the artwork for that.
Oh, really?
I know the guy that did the artwork. Yeah. I
So
remember
you guys
that
are gonna,
pedal.
you
Yeah.
guys are gonna have stuff to talk about. And then as soon as I
Dude.
saw this one, go ahead, Johnny. Sorry.
Pat, do you know Subway Guitars? Do you know Fat Dog?
Why?
Berkeley.
In Berkeley?
Sounds familiar.
It's a shop I used to work at throughout the 90s called Subway Guitars, Berkeley, California. Fat Dog is the owner.
And he did this?
Well, he didn't. One of the other employees actually did that. Years later. Yeah.
Yeah. Next time I'll plug it in.
Any other questions, you guys? Questions for Pat? We have one question.
I just added you on Facebook, Pat.
Symmetry is asking, is old 35mm film still better as far as resolution?
That's a really brilliant question. What you have now in the digital world is you can jack it up to like 2000 and you still won't get grain or what they call noise now. And if you would have done that with the old 35mm film, it would have got grainy. I'm a film guy. I mean, I don't shoot it anymore, but film is film. You know, I still.
Do you have any like undeveloped rolls of film, or did you develop everything? Because I know you said you probably took nearly 1 million pictures from what you kind of surmised.
More like 2 million.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I love film.
Wow.
Digital, you can get crisper images, but you know.
Is there something lost in the digital? Just like in the music world, there's this big debate between everything that's going more and more and more and more digital as it's getting better and better. The algorithms are getting better and better, and they're able to simulate the sound of amps and cabinets and even effects and everything now to the point where it's undetectable by your ear, but in the room it doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, picture The Godfather, the movie The Godfather, and how wonderful, warm that is, and compare that to a sitcom.
Right.
That's kind of the way it's like the sitcom's crisp and sharp, but it just doesn't have that warmth, and you can do filters and stuff, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, and a lot of people are going back to recording on, big consoles again. Because they can get a pretty good recording off, really good recording off digital. Of course, everything's recorded that way. I think part of the problem is most people aren't listening to it on devices or on audio device, if you want to call a hi-fi system like the Now Hear This system I have in here that I want to hook up. That's a really high-end, really great sounding system. I've got vinyls waiting to play on it.
How many people?
Because,
vinyls, like if you want to buy a new Green Day vinyl, it's $25.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hobo Rody says that his simulation feels pretty authentic in the room. I'm not sure if he's talking about audio equipment, but
I think he is.
Maybe.
Of course he is.
I had to throw that in there. All right, pedal number 2 that I'm going to play next week that I could not resist buying this because it was only $120. And it's just super cool looking, and I don't even care what it sounds like, but I'm sure it's going to sound good. But what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see that? Because it immediately came to my mind.
Wow.
Just imagine that light being red in the middle there. And imagine this calm, imagine this calm voice saying,
Hal?
Dave. Oh. Yeah, Dave.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Dave?
Yeah.
Don't do that, Dave. It's a fuzz pedal, but it's the, I don't know why they call it the TMA-1, but it is basically HAL 9000 right there, right? That's so cool. So I had to buy that pedal just because it looked cool. And
you guys, I got to get going.
Yeah, we do too. Thanks so much.
Come on, Laz.
I know, I got to end it. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Great to meet you, Pat.
You too, man.
I'll be in touch. I added you on Facebook and everything. I'll be in touch, man.
All right.
Thanks
you
again
everybody.
for coming on. Thanks, everyone else. And we usually end the show with this. Laters, everybody. Oh, that's the wrong button. Oh, well, it kind of works.
Bye-bye.